Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY21 earnings conference call of Sudarshan Chemical Industries Limited, hosted by Anand Rathi Share and Stock Brokers. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then zero on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nav Bharadwaj from Anand Rathi. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to the Sudarshan Chemical Industries Q2 and H1 FY21 earnings call. We have with us Mr. Rajesh Rathi, Managing Director, Mr. Neelkanth Natu, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Vivek Thakur, GM Finance, and Mr. Amay, Deputy GM Finance. We will start with the initial remarks from Mr. Natu, and then we can open the floor for Q&A. Mr. Natu, over to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bharadwaj. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sudarshan Chemical Industries Limited Q2 FY21 earning conference call, and thank you for your continued interest in our company. Our investor presentation has already been uploaded on the stock exchange and the company website for your ready reference. I hope you have been able to access it. We will start with an update of the business and the key developments for the quarter. We entered the quarter with our Roha plant being impacted for initial 2 weeks due to the presence of COVID-19 positive cases. This also had led to some manpower disruption. We ramped up our operations gradually to more normalized levels of production after the mandatory shutdown and sanitization treatment. Our Q2 performance is reflective of the same. The team have worked tirelessly and adopted remarkably to the new norms around social distancing, etc., and we remain upbeat that we should be able to maintain our production levels. We saw demand picking up significantly from August onward in the domestic market to pre-COVID levels after being subdued for initial few months. Our Q2 FY21 domestic business is up 70% as compared to Q1 FY21, which is reflective of the broader economy in India now coming back to the normal. We are seeing good traction across the portfolio with coating, plastics, and inks particularly doing well. Exports continue to remain strong and accounted for approximately 56% of our business for the first half, against 48% for the same period last year. Moving to the split between specialty and non-specialty chemicals, we have seen good growth this quarter in the non-specialty segment as demand came back after being subdued early on. Specialty continues to remain strong, and this is reflective of our strong technical capabilities that we have invested in over the years. Looking at the consolidated financial performance for the quarter and the half year, the total income from operation for Q2 is at rupees 429 crores as compared to rupees 425 crores for the corresponding period for the previous year, up by 1% on year-on-year basis, growth in value and volume at the similar level. Please note that we were impacted in the early weeks of Q2 and we would have reported better growth if it were not the disruption due to the temporary plant closure. For the half year, our sales are down at rupees 781 crores against rupees 836 crores given the severe impact of COVID-19 in Q1, which we had estimated to be rupees 45 crores of lost revenues. Adding this, our H1 performance would be in line with last year. Our gross margin has inched up this quarter to 44.2% against 43.1% last year. This improvement in gross margin is because of our continuous improvement in the product mix. Raw materials have remained relatively stable during the quarter. EBITDA for the quarter was at rupees 68 crore and the margins of 15.8%. Both these have improved on quarter-on-quarter as well as year-on-year basis on improved operational efficiencies. The COVID-19 pandemic resulted in certain cost-cutting measures and other optimizational efforts. There is now a greater focus on the conversion cost and our overall SG&A efforts. We expect these measures to continue as we revert to more normal levels of business as the country embarks on Unlock 4 and more. Depreciation for this quarter was at rupees 21.9 crore, was higher by rupees 4.8 crore as compared to Q2 FY20, given the capex over the last 12 months. For the half year, depreciation was at rupees 43 crore versus rupees 34 crore last year. Our outflow towards capex project for the first 6 months was at rupees 106 crore against rupees 95 crore last year. We had around rupees 585 crore of capex planned for FY20 and FY21. Out of this, we had already completed rupees 225 crores during FY20. As per the current execution plan, we estimate to complete project worth rupees 225 crore by end of this fiscal. Project worth rupees 110 crore will spill over to FY22 H1. We continue to believe that long-term demand for our product remains unaffected and will be continuing with our capex and the new product plans as stated. However, nearer term, we face challenges on getting the technicians to fly from abroad to help with installation and testing. As compared to the situation 3 months ago, we are progressing better on the capex project. We would also like to share an update on the yellow pigment. Based on the feedback, certain modifications were required. From March to September 20, due to COVID-19, all the modifications were put on hold and only manufacturing activities were allowed. October 20 onwards, we have restarted working on this with full vigor and expect to relaunch by mid-December. Finally, profit after tax for the quarter was at rupees 30 crore and for the half year, rupees 48.5 crores. During the current quarter, the company has reassessed the underlying assumptions based on the current business scenario and expansion plans and has decided to opt for new tax regime. Moving to the balance sheet, we remain very strong and liquid. This quarter, we took additional steps to improve our cash balances with strong focus on collection and inventory management. I would now like to give you an update on how we are seeing the business evolve the next few quarters. Traditionally, Q3 remains softer. However, given the recent uncertainties in Q1 and Q2, we expect some level of pent-up demand from domestic side to flow through into the quarter. In addition, we continue to actively monitor the extent of the wave 2 of the pandemic as some of the European cities are now headed back into the lockdown. We are also monitoring this development to assess, is this the real demand as against the order to fill up the supply chains? At the moment, the demand from both domestic and export looks healthy, and we are seeing good level of inquiries from both the segments. Raw material prices remain stable, and we are well stocked, so we will continue to remain alert. Our manufacturing level at the plant is back to normal. Supply side issues and logistics have recovered well, and our overall business is on much stronger position than 6 months ago. Our balance sheet remains strong, the business is well funded. We look forward to continuing to grow and deliver value to all our stakeholders. With this, we now open the floor for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to withdraw yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ritesh Gupta from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I just wanted to get a sense on the how the rest of the year looks like. I know you mentioned it a bit in your opening remarks, but it's not very clear that when you say that Q3 is seasonally weak, but given that there will be some bit of pent-up demand in the end market, ideally Q3 this year should be strong. And then the second one is on the CapExes that you have done almost close to 250 odd crores in last 2 years, and probably even more. We see an impact of that coming into depreciation, but how fast can we go through the product approval cycle and how long that will take to ramp up?
So first, hi, this is Rajesh Rathi, and I think hi Rajesh. So I think from our perspective, I think what we are saying is we are seeing demand in the domestic back to pre-COVID levels. We are just kind of a little, we want to make sure that we just want to tend a caution that it's not just filling up the supply chain, but it's really consumer demand which is increasing, right? And which will be sustained demand. So that's a little bit of the caution we want to see. We do see that, before Diwali we have good demand. Post Diwali the demand does drop in India, and but we still feel that we should have a strong, December to March, right? So that's on the demand side. Exports is again fairly upbeat right now, and we hope this trend kind of continues, right? Why we are saying cautious, we already seeing large waves of COVID coming into several countries, etc. And we are not sure how the economies would react to that, etc. On the capex front, I think Mr. Nathu explained on the whole front that we've completed our capex. There is some spillover of capex into the next year because of the COVID situation. We do feel that there are certain capexes which are where we are now, other than the yellow 138, all our rest of our capexes we have been able to kind of leverage well. So there are two capexes which we see from the Jan quarter. We should be able to do slightly better on them.
I got the point that capex are ramping up well, but ideally, I mean, that kind of asset investment should at some point in time start contributing to your top line growth and to your EBITDA growth as well. So unless the base business is doing very badly, I mean, ideally this should have resulted and it should result at least in the coming quarters. At some point in time, it should start delivering much better EBITDA growth, right?
So I think if you see our EBITDA margins have improved. There has been, because of COVID, in spite of losing 5-6 weeks, we've still been able to, we've been marginally down in the 6 months. From that perspective, we do feel we are catching up. So if you look at what happened in Q2, already Q2 we have matched last year's numbers.
So basically you're saying that the base business has been a bit weak and kind of the whatever 5% growth or whatever single digit growth we're seeing in EBITDA is actually due to the new product.
So it's new product. It's partially we had to hold off like the yellow pigment. We had to kind of hold off the entire due to COVID we had to hold up the modification in the product. Multiple situations, and in Q2, like I said, we had almost 3 to 4 weeks of demand kind of supply issues. We've still been able to kind of maintain that. In all, Riteshji, I think the first half of the year was on getting back to kind of operations and kind of focusing now. Now we are back on track to kind of leverage our drive our capexes and back on the growth story, right? So I think the next 6 months we should be able to see this see a better, better result from that perspective.
Got it. And just last one clarification there. I mean, you are not on any product approvals, etc., which I think in the last quarter you had said that new product approvals have been delayed due to COVID. That you don't think is a challenge anymore?
Sir, I think the question on yellow 138 is, on the yellow pigment is that people have given us feedback we want some modification, etc., right? So we are modifying the products which we will complete. That's what I mentioned and Mr. Nakuji in his talk mentioned by December, and we expect to complete that because we've just started that again. We had completely put a hold on that. So with that, we should be able to, we should be in a better place to drive that.
Got it, sir. Thanks so much. I'll let others ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amar Maurya from AlfAccurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
So thanks a lot for the opportunity. Now, sir, about little bit more clarity on the capex. You said that around 550 crores of capex is yet to be, yet to be planned, right?
Hi, Nilkanth here. So I will clarify. So what we say is we had the capex approval of 585 crore. Out of this, 225 crore of capex we completed in FY20. Balance 250 crore of capex we will complete by end of this fiscal. And there has been a spillover of 100 plus crore capex to next year fiscal FY22 H1.
Okay. Fair enough, sir. And secondly, sir, what would be the export and domestic mix in this particular quarter? Or you can indicate the growth of the export or the domestic? Hello?
So for the current year H1, the domestic is at 44%, export is at 56%.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to answer everyone's question, request you to please limit your questions 2 per participant. Should you have follow-up question, we should request you to rejoin the queue. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Jain from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon and thanks for the opportunity, sir. 2 questions from my side. One on the new product. Last year in 4Q earnings call, we mentioned of 2 products which were in the pipeline. One we were expecting to launch in June and other was probably in the 3Q or 4Q. Any update on the new product launches which we were planning and how are we looking the new product pipeline from here on?
So due to COVID, I think we had delayed all our commissioning of capexes where these new products were going to come from are delayed. I think one of the products we do expect to kind of launch by March end, and the other product we expect by next year H2, so September end.
So, okay, September 21 we are talking about.
Yes. So
okay.
One by March 21, and the second
21.
by March 21, and the second by September 21. September or the Q3 quarter where we will launch.
Got it. So it's roughly delayed by almost 9 months because of the COVID.
Yes.
And these are products tested with the customer? These are the fresh where we will go for the approval like yellow pigment or We have done some initial tests of this.
So I think, like we said, we've done some initial tests, but I think the final approval does come through when we are listed in the plant. And when I'm talking about, we've built in some approval time from the customers also in this.
Oh, got it. Two just number keeping questions. What is the capacity utilization for us in Q2? And again, to rephrase the question which was asked earlier, if you can give what was the mix of domestic and export for Q2 specifically, not for 1H.
So from a utilization perspective, I think we almost lost full of July. Partly July we were completely closed, our Roha plant, and partly it was working, at I would say 30-40% capacity. Rest of the month we are at about 80-85% capacity utilization. Q2 split.
Yeah. And on the Q2 split between domestic and export, domestic is at 51%, and export is at 49%. So it is the same, kind of range.
Thank you very much, and best wishes to all of you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Mehta from Valum India Discovery Fund. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. And sir, I have a single question on the capex. So could you so in simple words, could you please help us understand the capex of 550 crores which we have planned, and out of which you've mentioned that 225 crores is there on the balance sheet right now, and the rest is you're working on it. So just I've been through everything you've put out in the public domain in the last few years. And I just want to understand this capex, this 550 crores capex. Could you please help us understand regarding what sort of products will this address to, and in this whole capex, including the one which is there on the balance sheet and one which will come on the balance sheet, how much of it is related to the products you already supply and how much of it is related to new products? And regarding the new products, could you give us an understanding? And yeah, that would be very helpful. So I'm sure just I understand that some part of it is about the yellow pigment, for which we have been giving information the last few quarters in the earnings calls. Yeah, thank you. Hello, am I audible?
Just a second, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry. Yeah. So our major, so as we have mentioned, our capex can be divided into three areas. One is a growth capex, one is margin improvement, and third is the infrastructure. Major portion of the capex is towards the growth capex. Growth capex includes both existing volume, existing products where the volumes go up, and new products included in that, right?
Sure.
And so that's where we are kind of driving this together, both.
Okay, so sir, if I have to split the quantum of capex between growth capex and I would say backward integration, so 70% of the capex is growth capex. Would you put that number, or what is the mix between these three buckets?
So I think from a perspective right now, our major emphasis is still on growth, The backward integration CapEx is still not started because we've kind of, there are 2-3 kind of projects which are on. But there are other improvements in terms of like the utilities, etc., where we are looking at margin improvements, right?
Okay,
So,
understood.
on growth.
Okay, and out of the 225 crores capex which we have capitalized and where we have commercialized, the majority of this is related to the yellow pigment product. Is that the correct assessment, or it's related to the whole basket, one of which is a new product, the new product yellow pigment?
The whole basket, and one portion of it is only the yellow pigment.
Okay, and the FY21, the capex in FY21, which is another 225 crores, that is also primarily majorly related to capacity addition and new product addition. That is right. And the last leg of capex which you would do, that will be primarily for your margin improvement and backward integration. Is that the right way to look at it, sir?
So in that, it's a little bit of margin improvement. Really, it's not so much of backward integration yet. There are 1 or 2 small ones, but the major phase of backward integration would come after this, right?
In FY22.
Yeah.
Okay, and regarding the new products, barring the yellow pigment which you have announced in your public publicly, all the other products would you announce on the later date when those plants are set up, or could you mention it right now?
So there are several high performance pigments which we are planning on, and I think we would kind of, as we launch the products, we will kind of talk a little more about it. Yeah.
Understood, sir. Understood. That is very helpful, sir. And all the best for the coming quarters.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akela from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for taking my questions. I just had first one clarification regarding the September commentary we have given in the presentation. We've said that in September we reached one of our highest ever production volumes, and then the month-wise revenue chart that we have given on slide 9 also shows that September revenues are much higher than those in the previous months. So if you could just help us understand what the reason for this was. Was this because of some pent-up demand following the closure of the plant in June and July, and did this come largely from the domestic market, or was it also increased strength in the export side of the business? Thanks.
No, I think the point of the graph is to demonstrate that, like I mentioned, H1 was all on the supply side, right? Demand was never a concern. What that graph demonstrates, and I think that's the way we should look at it, is that how we are coming back in a full force on the supply side, right? So that's what it's demonstrating, that August was a month where we crossed our, August is the month which we crossed last year's sales, and then September we did far better. And that's the trend we expect now to go on, right? So that's the area. So it's more of demonstrating how the supply side is gearing up now, how the manufacturing is gearing up.
So can we expect the September run rate to continue, sir, going forward now into 3Q? So like October onwards, will the monthly revenue run rate be at the same level?
I think, like I mentioned there, we do expect a good run. Having said that, like I mentioned, there were 2-3 concerns which we had. Is domestic, obviously there is a slowdown after Diwali. However, we feel that there will be, given that it's just not filling up the supply chain, and there's real good demand which is kind of coming up, right? People start painting their houses, construction is picking up, etc., that we expect good movement there. And the second caveat where we felt is that in several countries, the second wave of COVID was coming up. We are not sure how this affects the economies of those countries and exports. So, right, from that perspective, those are the only areas. Otherwise, we do expect a good run.
Understood. That's helpful, sir. And my last question is just on the capex for the previous year, the 225 crores that Mr. Nathu mentioned was executed last year. Have we seen any revenue contribution coming in from that capex already so far this year? And Was some element of that, part of the September numbers that we have shown?
Yes, so obviously part of, other than the new product, the others were all growth-driven volume increases, and those have started coming in.
So any sense of how much of the 225 crores is already utilized and how much is left to be utilized? I mean, just a rough ballpark number in percentage terms. Is it more than half, less than half?
I don't have those numbers top of my head right now. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deeman Shah from One Up Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So can you just, give us some sense on the earlier asked questions on the capex? You said, this is predominantly growth. So if you can help us explain that, would the efficacy of the new capex be equivalent or more to the already done balance sheet efficiency that you seem to be showing? So A, could you please answer that? Number two, possibly if you can also help us understand in terms of demand, given the situation that we are in and possibly small advantage that we have as an alternate to China, is there, some advantage that we will, possibly get in terms of being a more kind of dependable supplier in all the three categories, either organic or inorganic or the pigments, the effect pigments. So if you can help us understand that. And lastly, on the balance sheet, you seem to be spending something on the something called intangible asset. If you can just explain what that line item is. Thank you.
Okay. So I think, sir, on the perspective of our stand and our growth, I mean, let me talk about that first. There are great tailwinds in the way. The two major players are about to sell their business, and China's certain uncertainties. There's definitely an opportunity for an Indian player. Whether we can take up a leadership position and how does it kind of grow, right? And that's been our story to kind of sell ourselves as a reliable alternative, reliable leader in the industry, right?
Correct.
So that's been our reliability, right?
True. But is there any specific segment where we are seeing this more attenuated in the sense that is this more?
It's very difficult to kind of pan out. No, it will take some time to see how it really works out in the sense really our customers, from a perspective of China perspective, really willing to look at alternatives given that the China government has come up with a 13% export rebate, whereas India has withdrawn even the 2% rebate which we used to get, right? So the competitiveness is also very important in this aspect. It's not just this. So I think there are several factors which would kind of pan out, and we'll have to see how the result comes out. There was a time when even India, we could not supply a couple of months, whereas other countries during that time could kind of supply that. So I think it's the entire story how we come out now and how we come across. But that's how there is we still feel there's a great opportunity, and it will play out. It should play out in our favor. More and more, there are dialogues between key accounts, talking about an India sourcing strategy, right, which never expected for decades. So that's the area of this. The entire capex which is planned is obviously our capex is tending towards the growth capex, which is talking about also product mix change, which should kind of help improve our balance sheet. Having said this, I think the challenges of COVID have been multiple, right? Entire working capital, inventory levels, etc., were tremendously increased. Our CapExes got delayed a lot. So, so from a balance sheet perspective, both these items have not helped. We do expect that, given that it's like all this will settle in the next 6 months. We should be able to now drive our growth capex, and we should be able to kind of much better results in the coming years with this.
So in other words, this capex, that when it finally comes into place, will give you more superior turnover and related margins than the existing capex that is there. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if you see over years, our EBITDA margins have improved, right? And that's a lot to do with how we've changed our product mix and also held on to pricing. Yeah.
And if you can just explain what that intangible is on the balance sheet, intangible asset, and
Hi, sir. So this is regarding the intangible asset capitalization. So we implemented SAP S/4HANA project, and this capitalization is towards that project.
Sorry, could you repeat that? You were.
We implemented SAP S/4HANA project in the first quarter, and this capitalization is towards this project implementation.
Okay. Great. Thank you for answering.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good evening. Thanks so much for your time. My question was just on the export opportunity. How is India faring in terms of competitiveness, or how is Sudarshan faring more specifically in terms of competition versus players in China? You mentioned a 13% export rebate as well today. From when is this applicable, and is that like likely to impact us going ahead in terms of volumes?
I think, sir, this has been applicable, if I remember, it's from April itself. I don't remember the exact date, but it's been some time. Which is in the lower end of the products, this does affect us, but in the more premium products, high performance pigment products, this doesn't affect us as much.
Understood. And in general, if you were to look at Sudarshan Chemicals cost structure versus any of our global competition, are we like more competitive, or is like some more years of journey before we sort of reach that? How should we think about it broadly? Because the thought process is like, if we have to keep gaining market share and become a global top 3 player eventually, just wanted to see or understand how that journey plays out for us.
No, I think we have, there are certain product range which we have gained a better cost position. However, obviously, to offset a 13% export benefit is, it's again not a level playing field. Hence, in certain areas, we do get a little bit concerned there. However, our whole on certain molecules, when we talk about cost leadership and we complete some of our backward integration projects, those will be kind of, quite useful in kind of improving our cost base further.
Okay. And last question from my side is, we hear, at least in some other chemical value chains, the government wants to increasingly sort of, make India sort of self-reliant, at least for the more basic chemical molecules as well. In pigments, will that sort of lead us to increase our investments in backward integration in the next 3 to 5 years, or are we sort of reasonably already backward integrated and dependence is lower when it comes to China?
So I think we still have 30 to 35% which we import from China, raw materials, and I think we will, and that's where when I was talking about a little bit on what we would do on our backward integration, it would kind of help us improve. It'll improve our position from that perspective.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Viral Shah from Enam Holdings. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, sir. I had a couple of questions. Firstly, if you could share your mix between specialty and non-specialty portfolio and how have they grown or degrown during the quarter and half year?
Just a second.
Sure.
As you know, as we've seen that both the portfolios have degrown at the same level as we've seen as our overall growth, sir.
Okay. And so what would be the mix of specialty in our portfolio?
So I think that split we are not giving right now.
Okay.
But
Okay. So my second question is on China, sir. What we've been given to understand that the environmental authorities there have shown some sort of laxity in implementing the strict environmental norms which they had initiated some months back. So could you just throw some light on what is happening there and what is the kind of impact that is having on our end products as well as on the raw material side?
So right now we've not seen any kind of lax. The only thing which we find more is a little bit more on, like I mentioned, on the 13% export benefit. You know, that's what is kind of coming across more strongly. However, from a perspective, right now we've not found anything which has changed from an environment perspective, sir.
Okay. Just last question, sir. What would be our net debt level as on the quarter end?
1 minute, Nakuji will. What is that?
Sure.
Debt level. Can Nakuji share this with you in some time? Is that okay?
Sure. No, sure. Thank you so much. Those were my questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nav Bharadwaj from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. So a bit on the export side, is it fair to assume that the product mix that is being exported will have a better margin percentage as compared to what we do in the domestic market?
I think it really depends on this who are the sector of the the industry sector which you sell in, right? So if you're selling into pastings, whether you sell it in India or abroad, it'll be pretty similar. If you're selling into coatings, there are marginal differences, but I think the industry sector matters more.
Okay. And that varies from quarter to quarter. Is that fair to assume?
Not quarter to quarter. It doesn't change from quarter to quarter, but it changes from industry to industry base. And from a quarter to quarter, I think it doesn't change that much from quarter to quarter.
No worries. Also, the second question, sir, would be, is it fair to assume that as a trend, our contribution to revenue from exports is going to rise in the coming years, or is it going to remain the same at the halfway mark?
No, absolutely. The potential in the export markets is more, and it would increase in the future. Yes.
All right. Thank you. That's it from my side. All the best going on.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Kothari from AlfAccurate Advisor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for providing an opportunity. I have two questions. First, if you can tell us out of the total capex, how much is basically for backward integration, and by when that part of capex is going to get over, and what benefit you will see once that backward integration project gets over?
So right now, as I explained, our current capex is more for the growth revenue capexes. There is a minor portion towards margin improvement. Some of the major technologies which we were to execute for that is slightly delayed. And as I mentioned, we would start the execution of those technologies in the next financial year, and we'll get the benefits from year 22.
Yeah. So my question is, how much is the capex? What you are planning for that? By when? That when you say 22 means March 22.
That capex will be finalized by the board in the month of March 21, sir.
But that will be in your already approved project of 550 crores over that number. That includes the backward integration as well, am I right? So the board has already approved that.
No. For the I repeat myself. The major part of this current project is towards growth capex. It's not towards backward integration and margin, major portion. There are few margin improvement project capexes. However, the major portion would come in the the next financial year. We'll start.
So that will be the new capex altogether over and above 550 crore. That's what you are trying to say?
Yes.
Oh, I see. And that project, basically, you are saying by March 21, you will finalize whatever that amount will be.
Yeah. Yes.
So in your annual report, it has been mentioned that company is looking for the drastic cost reduction. So yes. What is that is all about? Is it the same what you are talking, and that will be done by March 21? So why it is part of annual report?
Because there is also manufacturing cost reduction, which we've been doing. That's how our EBITDA has been improved.
So what is that?
Manufacturing cost reduction initiatives.
Okay, manufacturing cost reduction.
Cost reduction. And raw material purchase cost reduction.
Okay, so what kind of total cost reduction program it is?
Sorry?
What kind of a total cost reduction program that is?
I can't give those details, competitive information, but there are several initiatives around manufacturing and purchase cost reduction.
Understood. Sir, my second question is with reference to the export competitiveness. Can you share some insights into, in terms of your, improvement in market share, key customers, getting the orders, getting the new wins, some insights into that how that is progressing and what efforts you are taking to make sure that, you will able to cater to the bigger clients in a bigger way?
So we have always, we have broken into several in the last few years into major clients, and now it's about building up portfolio with that client. So, right, we may be selling one or two products to them. Now we'll be selling more products to our clients there.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Anshul Sehgal from Kotak PMS. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. What are the kind of asset turns that are likely from the new capex? Is it in line with the existing asset turns, or is it likely to be higher? That's my first question, please.
So we expect the asset turns to improve to about 3.
This is, you are saying, from the new capex, the asset turns are likely to be 3.
Yes.
Which means, as you said, this is a mix of new products, existing products, and the growth CapEx. And of course, there is an element of margin improvement CapEx that you will be undertaking. If one just goes by that, it seems that the products that you will be getting into will be relatively higher margin, more specialty products as compared to the existing product basket. So would it be also fair to assume that from the new CapEx, the margin structure that one will get will be in excess of the current corporate margin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The second question I have is, could you just give a breakup of exports by industry? I mean, can you just share the industry mix of exports?
One minute, Amay.
Please.
So right now we are not publishing the industry mix.
Broadly, please, if you could just give us some understanding of which industries we are catering to. Is the mix of export industries similar to domestic, or is it different?
So I think we cater to, I can tell you the trend. Our first number one is industry is coatings, then plastics, then printing inks, and then cosmetics, right? And the difference between India and abroad would be printing inks and plastics would be slightly higher in India compared to the export geography.
And cosmetics would be lowest in India, is it?
Yes, cosmetics, because cosmetic producers are kind of more globally approved, right? So that's the
correct. And it is so in essence, the mix is more or less the same as compared to India in the export markets.
I just explained that the mix would be different, right? I just said that in India, printing ink, plastics would be a little higher, cosmetics would be a little lower.
Okay, got it. I get it. And would it be again?
Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Anshul Sehgal, would you please, as we have the participants in the queue, I will request you to please.
Can I just complete this one question? This is a follow-on. Nothing. I mean, in line with what I've asked just now, please.
Okay.
I'll just complete this. So fair to assume that given how you have in the past looked at higher end products in the cosmetics business, which are if I remember right, they are not. There was something about cosmetic products being hurtful to the skin, and you're going in more for organic cosmetics, etc. Now, is it fair to assume that cosmetics as a product category will start improving as a in the mix going forward?
No, sir. Firstly, we are not making any organic products for, as you mentioned, organic. We do have organic chemistries, but most of our products for cosmetics effect pigments, our mix changes with our product mix where we go towards higher end applications globally, right? Not just cosmetics, but other applications on the industrial side.
Got it. Thank you so much. This is helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this would be the last question for today. The next question is from the line of Dhruv M. from HDFC Asset Management Company. Please go ahead. Mr. Dhruv, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much. So the 13% tax that you mentioned, rebate that you mentioned for China, is it completely new? I mean, moving from 0 to 13, or was it something else? And a follow-up on this was, this started in March, I believe, but it seems your exports are still doing extremely well. So it seems it is not impacting you in a way. So any thoughts what's happening here?
Sure. So I think yes, It was 0 to 13, and you're right, it was March, April. I don't remember the exact time, but it's some time now. And it's like I mentioned, some of our low-end products, this would get affected, but high performance and higher-end products, it won't get affected. Also, there was a trend to look at India sourcing. That's how our exports have not got affected. I'm just hoping that the competitiveness in terms of given this 13% in our other low-end products, this does not tilt in the China's favor, because the 2% export benefit which we did enjoy, that's also gone. So now the difference between India and China has become 13%, right? So we're closely watching that and seeing how this pans out.
Sure. And sir, is it possible to share what would be the share of, say, the products where you are competing with China on this 13%, where this 13% is applicable?
It's very difficult to estimate that, because it's a full dynamic kind of market, right? So it's kind of, from a perspective, it's actually all the product range has 13% benefit now. So it really depends on how it pans out, how customers are looking at this, how much is the difference, etc., and especially in Europe, right?
Yeah. No, you mentioned that for the HPP segment, the high performance, there you see no competition even after the 13%. So I was just wondering what could be the
competition in the sense China is not very active there, right?
Okay.
Plus there are, it's more of the BSF and Clarions there. That's the reason I mentioned that, sir.
Got it.
Of course, but they do have a portfolio of that, and if they do become active, we have to wait and watch there, sir.
Got it. I have more questions, but probably some other time. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam, just to answer one question which has been asked from Inam's side on the borrowing.
Sure.
The current line is at around 500 crore level. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you all for your time and interest in Sudarshan Chemicals. We remain confident on the long-term prospect of our business and look forward to engaging with you again. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Anand Rathi Share and Stock Brokers, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.